The Prime Minister arrived at Castle Buildings, where the Good Friday Agreement had been signed 11 years ago. He met the First and Deputy First Ministers and then held separate discussions with the party leaders. He urged all of them to maintain a consensus in the wake of the real IRA atrocity. Gordon Brown said the world admired the progress made here.
I think the message is that this attack has not happened because of the failure of the political process. It's in many ways because of the success of the political process that people are working together and a small number of people want to disrupt something that is working and something that is showing the whole world that Northern Ireland stands together.
Then attention switched here to Parliament Buildings, where each of the main party leaders made a statement outlining their outrage at yesterday's attack. The DUP leader was first on his feet.
This is a moment of truth for us all. We all have a choice to make. On Saturday night, the challenge was issued. Today in this House and outside of it, let the answer be loud and clear. We are not turning back.
Yeah. Gerry Adams said he spoke as a non-repentant Irish Republican.
I want to extend my sympathies and the sympathies of Sinn Féin to the families of those killed and injured on Saturday night. This Assembly is united in this solidarity, and I join with the First Minister in his condolences to the bereaved families, and I underpin his commitment that this Assembly is resolved to work through our difficulties. There is, as he said, no turning back.
SDLP leader Mark Durkan said the police needed full and unconditional support. An emotional David Ford said the outpouring of grief yesterday showed the real side of Antrim and not Saturday night's murders. The Ulster Unionist leader, Sir Ray Gyamfi, said events underscored his belief the time was not right for the devolution of policing and justice. And then it was back to normal business. Ken Reid, UTV Live, Stormont.
Well, joining me now, Junior Minister Gerry Kelly from Stormont. Mr Kelly, good evening to you. Your party president, Gerry Adams, has said that this attack was wrong. He's expressed his condolences, saying that his thoughts are with the families of the 2 soldiers killed and those who were injured. Then this must be further than Sinn Féin has ever gone before in condemning the murders of British soldiers.
Well, I think what we have here is a situation where now in 2009 the Good Friday Agreement was signed in 1998, and indeed the IRA ceasefires were years before that. And we have to put a message across very, very clearly that these people have no support within the community, and certainly no support from any of the political parties involved. So while it may be unprecedented in that sense, I think it's a very necessary step to make sure that there was a united voice going out from all those who have been involved in actually making progress in an alternative way forward to armed struggle, instead of this idea that in some way that these people can bring us back anyway towards the past.
Well, would you agree that the people who carried out this attack, it's highly likely that they would have been members of the IRA in the past? I mean, these weren't a bunch of amateurs who got lucky.
Well, I don't know if that's true. The fact is, I simply don't know who they are. I think.
But it's clear they had experience in this field.
Well, it's clear that they were trying to kill people over a period of time. This is not the first attack. There have been a number of others, including bomb attacks. And unfortunately, on Saturday night, they got lucky from their point of view, and we're now dealing with the aftermath of that. But I think what is important is whether they look upon themselves, or whether they have experience, or whether they were connected in some way to the past. All of republicanism, or at least the rest of republicanism, the vast, vast majority of Republicans have moved on, want to move on and continue on in this path.
And with that in mind, what about people who may be watching who may have information to do with these murders?
Well, as we made clear earlier today, in both condemning it, we have also said that we will give all assistance that we can in terms of apprehending the people who were involved in this.
Gerry Kelly, thank you. Well, that was Gerry Kelly talking to me earlier before we came on air. I'm now joined live by Nigel Dodds for the DUP Deputy Leader. Good evening to you, Minister. You must be encouraged by what you've just heard from Gerry Kelly. You've been calling for condemnation for similar acts for years.
Well, I think it is good that Sinn Féin have now moved to the position, we have forced them into the position of support for the police, that they're condemning these things. They should never have been in any other position, but it's good to see that. But we now need to see the delivery and the action following on that, and the Republican community now need to pass on that information and give up these people to the police and to the authorities.
Well, they have offered all assistance. You heard his last answer there in bringing forward information that may lead to the apprehension of the killers.
Yes, and I would echo that. Everybody should be giving information to the police, supporting the Chief Constable in these terrible times to ensure that these wicked and evil murders are brought to justice. But it's also important that the Sinn Féin and everybody gives their full support to the police and the resources necessary to tackle this wave of threats from dissident Republicans.
There's a general consensus that the people who carried out these murders are clearly experienced, perhaps disaffected former IRA members, let's put it that way. Given that, would that give you concerns about the present political arrangement? Well,
I think it's absolutely vital that everybody unites in condemnation, not just of this murder, but of any kind of threat that's posed to the community of Northern Ireland by so-called dissident Republicans. And I think it's important that, as we saw last week when the Chief Constable gives a warning about the severity of the threat, that we don't have nationalists and Republicans running around undermining the Chief Constable. One of the tests coming out of this will be for Gerry Kelly and others in Sinn Féin to give their full unequivocal support to the Chief Constable and support him in whatever resources he needs, whether it be reconnaissance units or whatever, in order to combat this threat from Republican terrorism.
Nigel Dodds for the DP, thanks for joining us this evening. Well, let's now go back live to Paul, who's in Antrim.
Lynda, thank you very much indeed. People have been laying flowers here as we've been on air this evening. Men, women and children adding to the flowers that are already here after the murder of 2 soldiers at this spot on Saturday night. As with all things in Northern Ireland, events like this do have political ramifications. We can now talk live to Ken, our political editor at Stormont. Ken, one thing that came out of events at Stormont today was that all of the politicians were speaking with one voice, that voice of condemnation.
Yes, that was the case. You know, there's been a worry over the years here at Stormont, over the past couple of years since Sinn Féin and the DUP went into the executive, that if there was an incident like the Massereene murders, could the institution, and particularly this building behind me, would it survive? Now, the answer today is most definitely yes. We had Peter Robinson making what I thought was a very statesmanlike speech, then Gerry Adams getting up and sending his sympathy and condolences to the families of the British soldiers. I think that moved things on politically. And there was no sense of crisis here at Stormont today. And I think that's something that will please particularly the 2 governments. It was a case of very measured response, a great deal of sympathy. But politically, ironically, it was probably a pretty good day.
And Ken, what effect will the weekend killings have on the plans of the First and the Deputy First Minister to go to America?
Well, Peter Robinson was in the House of Commons this afternoon. Martin McGuinness is flying to London tonight, and tomorrow they will head for the west coast of America, and they will continue with their plans where they're meeting businesses and so forth, trying to generate the economy here in Northern Ireland. And then, of course, on St. Patrick's Day, they will meet President Obama in the White House. And interestingly, there was a statement from President Obama today condemning the Massereene attack.
Ken, thank you very much indeed. That's the latest from Ken Reid, our political editor, live from Stormont. Today is the 9th of March. On this day, 38 years ago, the 9th of March 1971, 3 off-duty soldiers were killed. They were soldiers 4, 5 and 6 in the Troubles. John McCaig, Joseph McCaig and Dougal McCaughey. They were all young soldiers, the first off-duty soldiers to be killed. The last off-duty soldiers to be killed, the most recent, were the 2 here on Saturday night. Unlike 1971, there is a determination that we will not repeat the mistakes of the past and go back to the past either. From Lynda Bryans in Belfast, myself and the team here at Antrim, a very good night to you.